Hey everybody, it's Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading video for the week starting the 7th of June through to the 13th of June 2021. So it is quite a big month astrologically speaking. So just to refresh your memories, we are still going through a Mercury retrograde, which can leave our brains feeling a little bit foggy and can really cause problems with technology and travel and communication as well. On top of that, we also have had some powerful eclipses. We had one 2 weeks ago, we had another one coming up this week on the 10th. That is a solar eclipse coinciding with the new moon in Gemini. So Gemini is where the sun is right now, and that is very appropriate, of course, because Gemini is a sign associated with communication, with ideas, with our networks, our communities, our siblings, also with short-term travel, as in commuting, etc., or short trips, I should say, not short-term. So it is a good time to set goals around those areas if you're trying to, particularly around that stuff around ideas. If you've got a big idea you want to launch, you've got a big message to deliver, maybe you're launching yourself as an influencer or something like that, this would be a good time to do it around the 10th. An eclipse just means the energy is heightened. New moons are already a good time for setting goals. Eclipses also show us something that's been lurking in the shadows that we may need to deal with. So maybe there's a communication problem that needs you to set some goals around, or to figure out a new approach towards, for example. These are just ideas. So that's coming up this week on Thursday. We also have a pretty challenging week coming up the following week. I'll talk about that later. But remember, the stars and the planets don't rule our lives for us. We rule our lives, and the universe doesn't either. We're in charge. So our job is to take what we can control and make peace with what we can't. And if there are things we can't control, look for what we can control within that, such as the way we respond to it. So Monday's card here is Archangel Raphael, one of my mates. So Raphael's associated with healing, so someone I call on a lot with my energy healing work, also associated with travel and with relationships. So it may be that this card is coming up to help you in one of those areas, or it may be that this is indicating that it's right for you to pursue a career as a healer, if that's something you've already been thinking about doing. If you already are a healer or a light worker, this would be encouraging you to keep going with that. I know it's a challenging way to be in the world, but the alternative, not using your skills and your abilities, is harder, I would say. So if you are facing a health challenge, because Raphael's about not just emotional and spiritual health, but also emotional and mental. If you are facing a health challenge in one of those areas, you could call on Raphael to help you. You could ask Raphael to guide you towards the best healer to help you, or medical professional to help you. So those are some ways you can use that. Looking at Tuesday, it is extremely cold here today, and I find it harder to keep my hands warm enough to shuffle well. My shuffling's never great anyway, but we always get the card we need, such as this one here for Tuesday, which is Freya Bold. Freya is often depicted with cats, so that may speak to you. This is a Nordic goddess, and boldness. So we've got a real message to help us get out there, be a bit more confident, take a few more risks, calculated risks. It isn't telling you to go be crazy or do anything completely reckless. If there is something like a change or a decision you're contemplating, don't let fear lead you towards making the safe choice, because although safe is very comfortable, it's not what leads to the best growth. So sometimes, and if the scary stuff is too much for you, you might like to work with a healer or someone or a coach to help you with that, or you might like to find a path in the middle where you can put yourself out there, but maybe not to a point that's really bringing up anxiety or anything like that. So this is really making sure you are not just following the same old in order to avoid something that really needs to be dealt with, or to be changed or unleashed, perhaps. I use the word unleashed because it's on that card. I do like it. It's talking about something that is hidden, that needs to come out to the surface, which I suppose is appropriate given what I just shared about that eclipse energy. Oh gosh, I'm doing the world's longest shuffle here. Maybe this is, oh, I was going to say, maybe this is not the right card deck, and here we have Wednesday, by the book. So we had this recently. It is very much about following along with the patterns that we've had. It's, oh, sorry, that's not a very good way to put it. It's about making sure that we are not going, we're not going to shake up the system right now. There is a time and a place for that, and I'm all for it. But this is really about making sure you're not trying to cut corners. You're not trying to find a shortcut. You're not trying to say it's my way or the highway. So if you look at these two cards, it's interesting. They might seem to contradict each other. What they're saying is be adventurous within reason. So sometimes people, when they're talking about being daring or making a change, they go too far into the point where they're throwing everything, caution to the wind completely. And that's a point where you've lost control of your intuition, because our intuition is not generally going to steer us to do that much change at once. It might, but sometimes people are doing that because they're so terrified of not getting the thing that they want, that they do. And dating is a great example of this. Someone who takes a big, bold risk for love, they I don't know. I think I've given this example before. I was going to say an example would be someone who moves in with someone after one date. Do you remember that show, Dharma and Greg? I used to love that show back in the 90s. It was very funny. Obviously, it's a sitcom. It's not a documentary. But as an example, they got married on their first date. That's a big, bold risk for love. And it's one that, yes, in the show, it paid off for them. But in general, that's not something your intuition is going to guide you to do. And people who are throwing caution to the wind like that are operating from a space of, I don't believe that I can just wait for the unfolding of the relationship. I think I've got to throw myself in the deep end right away, or I might miss out. It's that fear of missing out that drives that sort of stuff. Hopefully that example makes sense, even though it's a bit weird. So we need to be challenging ourselves, but not going against what is the best course of action in a way. The best course of action might be the bold thing that you need to do, because maybe you've been sort of lurking behind the scenes in stagnancy. Where am I? Okay, we'll go Thursday. We'll go with this Archangel Michael. Oh, the card has jumped out straight away. Appropriate that I was just talking about love, because here we have a card, Eternal Love. This card is not just about romantic love. It is about universal love, about the divine love, but of course romantic love also feeds into that. I remember when I was single and trying to manifest a relationship, I very much was operating from a deficit. I believed that I didn't have any love in my life, and understanding that there was a lot of love in my life was part. It didn't obviously change things automatically, but it was part of me helping to focus on the donut and not the hole, as the saying goes. Looking at what we have rather than what we don't have, because looking at what we have is a more powerful mindset for attracting change. It's that law of attraction rule from the Abraham Hicks, the Esther Hicks stuff is, we have to be accepting of what we have while we reach for more. That doesn't mean surrendering and saying I'm not going to try. It means be at peace with what is while we're reaching for more. To create change. So if you are attracting a relationship, that message or that may speak to you. And I think for anybody, regardless of your romantic relationship status, remembering how much love there is in your life. Those of you who are in lockdown, COVID restrictions, it can be incredibly isolating. So you might have to work a little bit harder to remember all the love and support that is around you. You may have to be more active in kind of nourishing those connections and keeping those alive and healthy. The other thing, sorry, just had a hiccup. The other thing that comes up with this is about that balance between giving and receiving love. And I've talked about this many, many times. Last week, I posted an article about people who try to rescue other people. They're over-giving. So you might like to look that up if that's something that comes up for you, because that is often driven by a lot of factors, including a belief that they're not good enough. So you're trying to rescue someone so they can prove themselves worthy in a way to feel safe. So when I say safe, I mean in terms of feeling like they'll be able to earn the love they get. So this is about remembering that we need to try and have that healthy balance. So if we're going too far with giving, if we're going too far with receiving as well, we upset the balance. We need to be always part of a chain where giving and receiving are done in relatively equal measure. Obviously, there are times when we need to take more than we can give. We may be dealing with a health condition, for example. Sometimes we may be able to give more than we are able to receive just because we have more time at our disposal or something like that. But those can't be the main. Those are temporary sort of states. Depending on circumstances, of course, there are always exceptions. But the main point is to feel safe giving and receiving. And I work with a lot of people who don't feel safe receiving because they don't feel they deserve it. They don't feel safe to ask for help because they feel that that would make them look weak. And of course, when you really dig down, that's just an excuse. What's going on under the surface is that that might expose them to rejection if they ask for help, or might make them dependent on someone in a way, which then means they're more likely to be hurt if that person then abandons them in some way. There's a lot of stuff going on with this, but just looking at that balance of giving and receiving can be one of the most helpful things you can do with that particular message. Very interesting collection of cards we have. Friday's relationship. So definitely romance is a theme this week. So it's very appropriate that Archangel Raphael popped up at the start of the week. Nice intro. What I always talk about with this card is the fact that this angel is heading out of the woods. So to bring up a Taylor Swift song, Out of the Woods, Taylor Swift song. It's about that coming out of the darkness in the relationship, coming out to that place where things are I'm really struggling to say, flowing more smoothly, not snowing more fluidly, because it is the nature of a relationship that it will ebb and flow. There will be challenging times, there will be easy times, and what we want to do is make sure that we're not in those challenging times for too long, because that means that there is something going on there that we need to address, as opposed to just thinking, oh, this is normal, which it can be, but if it goes on too long, it's usually trying to show you something that you need to work on together or independently. So this does give you hope that things are going to improve. If you're single, it does give you hope that your love life will improve. But of course, we need to be in an empowered state to do that. We don't just wait for the relationship to turn up. We need to be doing the work. And it doesn't mean putting yourself out there. One of the most hated sayings I used to get told when I was single, just put yourself out there. What does that even mean for a start? And secondly, how helpful is that? Not very. What I focus on instead is working on all the things that might be blocking you from being ready for a relationship, with things that you might be blocking, attracting that relationship from coming through, such as low self-worth, such as trust issues, or, maybe that not allowing yourself to receive love could be an issue as well. So lots of things come up there. Hit me up if you'd like to work with me doing some energy healing. I work with a lot of single people to help them attract relationships. Work for me. There's not a one-size-fits-all formula for this sort of stuff, but certainly the more you can do to get yourself into a state of readiness, the more the universe is going to respond to that, because it means you're better able to attract that relationship when the time is right. So lots going on here. If none of that speaks to you, the thing you can take here from this message is that your relationship with yourself might need some healing. And I don't know a single person who doesn't need that. We all need to work on enhancing our relationship with ourselves. I don't talk about self-love. I think that's too hard. What I talk about is being a better friend to yourself. And I think that's absolutely achievable for everybody. So Saturday, the awkward shuffle continues. You're a spiritual teacher. So that Archangel Raphael card, if you are a healer, this would be reinforcing that message here. But not everybody is here to be a light worker or a healer. However, everybody is here to teach in some form. So I would focus on this word teacher. That could be literal if you are thinking about teaching in a formal education capacity or even a formal one. But I think one thing we can learn is how we can teach other people. This does not mean preaching. It does not mean lecturing. It does not mean judging other people, which are all not terribly well received generally, but looking at one of the best ways we can teach people is by working on ourselves, that we can be role models in that way. However, if you are being called to be something more not hands-on, but more direct, I guess I would say, in terms of maybe you're being a coach or a mentor to someone, this would encourage you to go for that. Or maybe you need, actually, I'm just getting another variation here, maybe you're the one who needs the teaching. You might like to reach out for some sort of coach or some sort of healer or instructor or lecturer, whatever it is that you're needing, whether it's, I guess that would be contingent on whether we're talking about a professional or a personal area. So, Sunday, last card of the week. Taking its time, appearing, there it is, to just sort of flip round so that it's the one that's facing the other way. We have crystal clear intentions for Sunday's card. This Archangel Michael on this card, which is appropriate because Michael represents strength and courage, which has certainly come through earlier in the week. So the card says be clear about what you desire and focus upon it with unwavering faith. So you cannot hit a target that you have not set. So be really clear on what it is you want. A lot of people are wandering around, walking the earth, waiting for things to improve, but not doing anything to improve it. And if you ask those people why, a lot of them would be unclear about what they even want. They're waiting for the universe to tell them what to do. I get a lot of messages from people saying, waiting for the universe to give me a sign about what to do. The universe is actually waiting for you to decide what you want, and then it will help you. It works that way. You're in charge. So, and that starts with being clear on what you want. Now, some of the things that block us from doing this are self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success as well, which often go hand in hand in a way. I guess fear of not being good enough, which is sort of tied into the low self-worth stuff. But also some people are really worried about missing out on something, that if they commit to something, it cuts them off from another. They're sort of operating from almost like a sliding doors scenario, that they have to choose the right path or their life will turn out quote unquote badly. And that's not the case. There isn't, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself if you do that, because you're the one in charge of your life, and whatever you choose will work out well for you. You will learn something. Maybe it won't be what you expect it to be, but you'll learn something valuable from it. And that's, as I've said many times, it's what we're here to do. We're here to learn. Don't fall into the trap of thinking the grass is greener. I should have done something. I should have made a different choice, and then my life would have been better. That regret can really shackle you and prevent you from moving forward. We can't go backwards. We can only go forward. So if you feel that you're not happy with how things are going, it doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means it's time for you to make a different choice. So focus on that. But yeah, being clear on what you want, and if that's a struggle for you, I'd be working with a coach or a healer of some sort to clear anything that's blocking you from coming into alignment with the certainty about what you want. Helping to heal your intuitive connection. Because a lot of people, when they tell me they don't know what to do, they actually do know what to do. It's not that they're lying, it's just they do know what to do, but the voice of fear is clouding it all from being very, very clear to them. The voice of fear is telling them, oh, but what about this other thing that someone else is doing? That would look really good on your resume. Or, oh, but this person will judge you if you do that, and you're not good enough for that. All this sort of stuff comes in. But at the heart of it, like if someone was to find out that they only had a very short amount of time left on earth, they would come into absolute clarity about what was most important to them. So most of us do know when that dross is cleared away, and of course we don't have to go to such an extreme situation of having that happen to us, which would be horrible. To have that clarity, we can do that by working on clearing any of that mental chatter that's getting in the way, and any of that energetic wounding as well. I have talked too long. I'm going to stop now. So here we go. Being bold, very strong for this week. Figuring out the best way forward. I think that's really appropriate. We had cards around taking action last week as well. Yeah, that crystal clear intention certainly plays into that message as well. And relationships coming up big. So some healing in your love life might be appropriate. And it doesn't matter what your relationship status is. It doesn't matter if you want to be in a relationship or not. We all have a relationship with ourselves, and healing that can have huge impacts across all areas of our lives for the positive. So it's definitely worth committing to as part of your ongoing personal development. We're not here to just, work and then sleep and then watch Netflix. We're here to learn and grow and become better people. And that doesn't mean that you're starting from a place of not good enough. It means you're starting from a place of strength, and everything you add to that is a bonus. So if you want to talk to me about anything we've discussed, make some appointments to work through this, you can do that on my website, www.onegroundedangel.com. My Instagram is @onegroundedangel, where each card goes up each day. And of course, I'm also on Facebook, One Grounded Angel. Thanks very much for being here. I'll be back next week, and let's just do our best to not spin out of control in this kind of frenetic eclipse energy. Focus on what we can control and try to take better charge of our mindset when it's taking us down a path that isn't serving us, i.e. overthinking. Have a great week, everybody.